Alexei Novikov, Happy Datum, co-founder and CEO. So this is the kind of attempt to understand where money flows and where from, where to, and what would be the role of cities, intermediaries, and us in terms of channeling this money into the right ESG projects, specifically focused on S, on social. So this is the institutional investor set. So institutional investors are different from regular investors, that while they are strictly regulated by their own charters, because while among them are pension funds, big insurance companies, big banks, so they actually manage people's money, and they would like to manage this in a very conservative way, in a very cautiously, and many of them, if not to say all of them, have now a charter that actually mandates them investing into ESG agenda, because many people who actually send their money there, well, either voluntarily or mandatory, like pensions or so, these people would like to pay attention to environmental, social, and governance issues, and that's why a portion of the money that is being controlled by these guys should go to ESG. So currently the total amount of assets is about 50 trillion that are earmarked for ESG agenda. So the total assets will like 200 trillion. So basically 25% somehow should go to ESG sound and significant projects. But this is a big problem for these guys, because apart from the financial stability of the assets, they have to figure out whether these money will actually go to ESG, and what would be the impact of this money. Otherwise they would not do this. So the problem for them is to figure out projects and intermediaries who could actually use this money. So here is the cities with their social, environmental, and governance agendas. They know much better what to do, because they have parliaments, they have all discussions and all this values and all this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, they come up with financial instruments to attract money into social or environmental projects. These instruments are bonds or syndicated loans or number of other type of securities that are called general obligation. Basically, for these guys, it's very important, because general obligation means that they use their taxpayers' money to pay back these loans or bonds, etc. So these are very important. So while they actually are obliged to pay back in time and in full with the taxpayers' money, so they are okay with that. But then they have to actually present to the institutional investors ESG criteria, so filter that will help them to channel the money into specifically ESG agenda. So there is no such a filter yet, and so we are going to create that. IB, this is investment banking. So while those are sharks of capital markets, but they are intermediaries. So while they actually know how to manage this money, they help cities to buy bonds, to organize syndicated loans, and all this kind of stuff. But they also need to understand the ESG criteria to be able to actually understand what particular type of project they would like to organize. So then private businesses come into play with their projects on housing, on culture, on inclusive society, on environment, and that's for here we have a tendering process, because well, all this money that cities attract through institutional investors, the money goes to certain projects, and these the city, tendering committees and all this kind of organizations have to use certain criteria, ranking criteria, the match ratios, how would this ESG project matches the agenda of a city, etc. So they have to use certain criteria to award private businesses with contracts and or with concession rights or whatever. So this is something that we have to develop as well. So the system that will be integrated into tendering process, contract signing process, to have this be kind of formal, impartial, independently assessed, etc. But how do we know what would be right and what would be wrong? So we actually measure the impact of those projects with the measurement system. So we provide feedback to this ranking and filtering system, and it goes like circulation of data and knowledge, etc. So we improve the filtering with the data that we get from the impact analysis. And the impact analysis, this is the third very important point here, because actually it starts the whole process concept-wise, right? So once we know what is the impact, we can tune up the filtering process, and we can tune up the criteria, and then the money will go to the right projects and people will benefit, right? So people will anyway send their money to pension funds, insurance companies, banks, mutual funds, etc. So there is a circulation of money, but we are involved at three very important stages here, right? So criteria to help institutional investors to channel their money into city's agenda. Then city selection, project selection process, or tendering process, or contract process, and the impact measurement. So this is how it works. Thank you.